Hi, fellow tea lovers. Settle in because we've got a story. I'm Nell.
And I'm Rose, and today we're bringing you the tea.
Across I know your weekends run differently than mine, but how's your week been?
Week's been uphill, but we're winning most of our battles, I guess.
I feel that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
We're marching into a few complicated situations, but everything's going the way it needs to be.
Dang. Nice way of looking at it. So, besides all the things I normally do, I've also been eyeballs deep watching extremely specific parts of the Olympics.
See,
Have you watched any?
I had completely forgotten that they were going on, and then I heard the huge kerfluff about the opening, so then I had to kind of backtrack, oh, I want to watch this.
So did you watch the opening?
I didn't, not all of it. I saw the...
I loved it.
It looked beautiful, with the boat parade. And
yes!
Greek statues come to life in vase poses. It was really pretty.
Yeah. I thought it was super fun. I loved seeing all of the athletes on the river yachts.
Reminiscent of a royal barge.
Ooh. I thought it was fun. There was that masked guy running across the rooftops and through the Louvre and other places in Paris. And then somebody referred to him as the guy from Assassin's Creed. I have no idea what that means. Does that mean anything to you?
Ish. I'm not a gamer per se, but I did really enjoy the hell out of several successive Diablos. The RPG games are the ones that I'm a little bit more aware of. So Assassin's Creed, it's one of those ones that comes out with a different iteration that has a different historical inspiration every couple of years.
Okay.
So they've done, Crusades, they've done Pirates, so they kind of pick a genre. And I like what they do historically speaking, not that they're really accurate in any way, shape, or form. Don't kid yourself. You're playing a game. That's okay. That's not what you're there for. But it does create interest, and I think those are really cool because you're getting at least a couple of people going, hey, I kind of want to learn about actual pirates after playing this cool pirate game. Okay. I'm all for it.
I love the cauldron, hot air balloon, magic.
Yes.
And then Celine Dion, Goosebumps. The dancers on the rooftops, loved them. The ballerinas, the bike riding, the singing. I don't know.
I've seen far fewer clips than I should have, apparently.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay. I really enjoyed it all. I was actually going to take this episode in a whole different direction than I'm going to. But the one thing I couldn't leave out of all of that research, have you ever heard of a hospitality house?
In the Olympics? No.
Okay, me neither, right? Cue me spending several hours trying to figure out exactly what a hospitality house for the Olympics is. Honestly, everything I found about it treated the phrase like I already knew about it. So it's a little frustrating. According to the Olympics website, it'll tell you where the hospitality houses are, which countries have them, and if there's a cover charge or a charge for certain events.
Okay.
And eventually, dude, I just ended up going to Chat AI. I was I need someone who knows. And so they said that it's a country's gathering hub during the Olympics. So for other countries.
Oh, so almost like an Olympics-based embassy kind of.
Yeah. The country's athletes, families, sponsors, and for a lot of them, even the fans can go, and you get to experience cultural events, food, and hospitality. Therefore, a hospitality house.
Why wouldn't they advertise that more? Why is this such a surprisingly new concept? That sounds amazing.
Is it because I've never been in a city when the Olympics is happening in that city?
Maybe that's one of those things that you only really see on the ground, but that almost has a feel of a World's Fair tacked on.
Right, and
which is cool.
Okay, I was so confused by it. I don't know why I hadn't heard of it either. Because I was thinking after reading about this, I'm it's never really crossed my mind to try to get in the pool, the drawing, the lottery for tickets to the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean...
But, and honestly, I don't know if I'd really want to go visit a host city while the Olympics are going on.
It feels very stressful.
Right, I'm just imagining, the trains in Paris, being packed just, on a regular Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, no, when we went to Obama's first inauguration, we were the very first metro out of the station by my folks' place, and it was wall-to-wall by Station 2.
Oh, of course.
And it didn't help that there was this high school class that I'm so glad they were going, but their teacher was an ass because he was he literally yelled, okay, guys, it doesn't look like there's enough room for everybody, so just push. And I'm sitting there, like, next to the window, literally thinking, wow, this is how I'm going to die. It's very strange and different than I imagined it. Oh, no.
I kind of had that feeling when we left the Taylor Swift concert. Just the friend who I was with, she was like, we're never going to get on the train. Like, look at this. It's, like, not here, and there hasn't been one in a few minutes, and there's 80 kajillion people, and we need to call for, like, an Uber. And I kept telling her, well, the Uber in this area, they're not just going to come here and pick us up. You have to go to the designated rideshare point. And I was like, I don't know where it is. This is my first time at Broncos Stadium. I don't know where anything is.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, do you want to get on this next train when it comes? And she goes, what do you mean? We can't fit. We'll never make it. And I was like, look, I'm going to get on the next train when it comes. So come with me, or I don't know, turn on your location and I'll drive back and come get you from the parking garage, you know? I'm like, I don't even know if I can do that. Getting in and out of there, even with that many streets, is such a mess. But we got on, and so I think that teacher was definitely a butthead for saying that out loud.
Right, but it was the sentiment of the day.
Right, and it's implied.
It was already going to be a stressful day, and that was how it started. That was like 3 a.m.
Awesome.
I know.
See, like, when people are all, I would love to go to Times Square for New Year's Eve, and I'm like,
no.
Wait, is there like a beautiful hotel suite overlooking Times Square that I can get in? Because otherwise...
I think probably my happiest big city moment wasn't even a super big city. It's York, so it's like medium to... But it's big to us. We lived like, 2 blocks from the city center. And so we just sat at home and played games and had like a little New Year's party at home until about 10 minutes before midnight. And then we wandered down to the square, cheered with everybody, had a nice little tipple in the street, and walked our asses back home. Awesome. And it was amazing.
See, yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. So back to these hospitality houses. They will have meals, food tastings, performances, art, musics, booths. And the booths are like, the sponsors, like, of the athletes will be like, here's my stuff. I hope it's a lot of swag. I personally enjoy good swag.
I think we do have to address that, though, because swag is something that you get for free, and swag is something that you probably paid too much for.
I will start over. Swag. I don't know exactly what the sponsors are doing there. I don't imagine it would be fun to be like, hello, Nike, I'm Jessica. I don't run or own any Nikes at the moment. Because that would be it. That would be it, right? So hopefully they have lots of cool swag.
I had this really awkward idea when I was a child, when you're walking around all those tables that give things out. I thought it was polite to talk to people when they were handing you free stuff, and so I'd always ask, so what do you do? As little, like, getting the guy from the air conditioner company that really just wanted to hand you a pen and get on with his day. Like, well, we make air conditioners.
Oh my gosh, my kiddo, she does not do small talk. Like, it's not her thing. But if she did small talk, that would have been her when she was young.
Small talk, I'm sorry, was not framed as optional when I was coming up. Can I just say, I know it's awkward for everybody now, but I'm sorry. You guys created this monster. Now you have to listen to it.
We used to practice small talk every once in a while for, like, certain situations, and she was like, this is literally the worst. And I'm all, it's so much fun. I want to know everything about everyone.
This conversation. Again, didn't feel optional.
Right. Okay, one last thing before I jump into my actual story. When I was researching all of these hospitality houses, I found that Ukraine has their first ever hospitality house. And I thought it was cool to see them there. You know, their country's in a war. Some of the people who probably should have been at this Olympics have died in that war. So it was good to see them. It was good to see countries that have, like, one athlete coming to represent them. And, you know, there's a lot of support still. And countries...
they're just as invested,
Right, that have, like, never won a medal, which to me, I'm all, what? Is that allowed?
It just feels odd.
Right. So their house has been nicknamed the Vola space. That word is spelled very similarly to voila. The word vola. And if anyone in Ukraine is listening to this and is laughing at how I said it, I'm sorry, send me a message. But that word means, like, will or freedom, but it's also like a way of life Or I found a quote that called it an internal driving power to overcome all obstacles.
Oh, I like
Right. So I thought it was just fun that they have a house called a name that immediately reminds me of Voila, which is French, and they're in France. But yeah, so that's the name of their hospitality house. And they're showcasing a lot of the culture and then trying to, bring more attention to the fact that there's a war happening over there. Did you watch the Olympics growing up?
Off and on. I always loved the gymnastics and the ice skating.
Same, yeah.
I think every little girl growing up wants to be the sparkly costume awesome. But also they just do really impressive stuff.
Yeah. I remember I would see probably like replay clips of those events on the news if I'd be at someone else's house.
I did watch Carrie Strug break her leg live. That was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. Not the leg breaking. If you're unfamiliar, she, I think, had already either broken her leg or started the break and then went for a vault that was going to be the difference between her getting gold or not. And she knew that she was injured, did it anyway, landed, stuck the landing beautifully, and then collapsed down. And it was one of the most heartbreaking, beautiful, awful moments I think that has ever happened, at least in my lifetime in the Olympics.
Did she win?
Yes, ma'am.
After sticking the landing?
Yes, ma'am.
Daggum. The most exciting thing for me in this current Olympics, well, first, it was in the opening ceremonies, they cut to Tahiti, which is where the people who are doing Olympic surfing are right now.
Yes.
Yeah, they're in Tahiti. Summer 2021, which would have been the Summer 2020 Olympics in Tokyo, they did surf there, but the water wasn't great. And there are man-made surf options, but that's
not at the professional level.
That's what I was going to say. Not at the level where any of these people could compete in it. This year is surfing's second time in the Olympics. Tokyo was their first one. I love professional surfing. I hold it up there with college football.
I've seen about as much of each, so that tracks for me.
Yeah. That's for most people, especially here. We're so landlocked.
Ironically, my partner also lived in Hawaii and is also obsessed with professional surfing. It's adorable.
I know. They sent
the two
me
of them go.
An article this morning. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I've always enjoyed watching surfing, but it was probably around 2000 when I started really following professional surfing. And that was because in our lifetimes, a lot of industries have died out, right? Magazines and magazine subscriptions.
Yeah. Not dead, but definitely at the door.
Do you remember sometimes it would be like, since you bought this warranty today, now you get 3 magazines.
Pick a magazine.
Stuff like that.
I stopped subscribing to magazines. They all went under the minute I liked them.
Yeah.
With scary regularity.
I've just stopped because it's online. And if I like it enough, I'll pay for it. But I subscribe to Surfer Magazine. I've been obsessed ever since. So, of course, since I love surfing, I'm definitely following surfing in the Olympics right now. It's made me laugh, which was kind of why I decided to do this topic, because there's so many headlines right now for the general public that are like, surfing is dangerous. This is life or death. Danger in the water. And they're not wrong.
No, but that's a little bit alarmist sounding.
And for good reason. But to me, I'm just that's part of surfing.
Part of what
I have Eddie Wingo on the back of my car on that bumper sticker. Yeah. And I love big wave surfing. The article your partner sent me this morning was a picture which is it's going to be iconic. You've probably seen it, whether you care about surfing or not. It was taken a couple days ago. It's surfer Gabriel Medina, and he is literally flying through the air after scoring this 9.9 ride.
Oh, I assume 10 is best.
Yes, that's out of 10. I have the picture right here for you. You can describe it in case there's 3 other people out there who haven't seen it.
I know, I live under a rock. Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
Right.
All right, the ankle string, I understand it's called necessity, but it also looks scary. It seems like a way you could lose it. That's
nuts. No, it's a way it can save your life. Your board floats.
Oh, not getting whacked with your board.
And the theory is it'll go up and pull you up with it.
Oh, okay, that I didn't know. That is fair. It looks like he just jumped up off of something to high-five a cloud, and there just happens to be a deflated balloon tied to his ankle. That's amazing.
This guy, Gabriel Medina, he's a really good surfer. I watched him a couple months ago, I think. Him and John Florence do a couple of surf heats together in a competition. John Florence, to me, in my mind, John Florence is still like 14.
People stick in the place.
He's like in his 30s.
Introduced to them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he was just like this wildly good kid who could surf.
Yeah.
With this like long blonde hair. He was actually the youngest surfer ever when he was 13 to compete in the Vans Triple Crown of Surfing.
Oh, I've actually heard of that.
Spoiler alert, he's got about 5 of those under his belt. First place in this.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on Team USA.
Okay.
And he's like Kelly Slater level.
Mm.
And Sonny Garcia and Andy Irons and like those current greats. So surfing is not in Paris, obviously. It's in French Polynesia. Okay, so again with the pronunciations. The surfing is in Tahiti. It happens to be in Teahupo'o, Tahiti. You will hear that mispronounced a million times. I probably just mispronounced it to some people. The guy who always does announcing for surfing, he pronounces it slightly differently. But
if we'll be wrong, we'll be wrong together.
A nickname for it is Chopo, and that's what I'm going to call it. It's much easier to say.
Very cool.
Okay, so it's in Chopo, and let me tell you about Chopo. Tahiti is part of French Polynesia, and that makes up 118 islands and atolls. An atoll is when an island has kind of like been covered up by water, goes completely under, but a reef is growing up around it, and it leaves an open lagoon in the middle.
Oh, I never knew what that was.
Right, so that picture I sent you earlier today, can you describe that picture?
So it was this beautiful, very, very green, lush, mountainous island with a lagoon in front of it that had like this little barrier structure. I assumed that it was stationary. I don't know why. Like, because of course,
technically.
Well, because a reef is always a growing entity, and I actually had no idea what an atoll was. So like,
me neither until now. But yeah, so that's what that reef is, right? And it's called a dry reef.
Okay.
And I think it's mostly because when the wave breaks on the reef, or the wave breaks right at the reef.
Yeah.
So the top of the reef is like right there at the water level. Mm-hmm. There's no cushion of ocean between you on your surfboard and the reef.
Something very sharp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because reefs are so pretty looking, and they are so scary in terms of touching.
Lots of reef rash pictures. Yes. Just Google reef rash. The largest island in French Polynesia is Tahiti. And Tahiti is made up of, it looks like 2 islands. Like a bigger one that's kind of like, it'd be sitting up here, and then a smaller one kind of hanging off the back like a little tail. And the larger island is at its widest point about 28 miles across. But the middle of it is like these big green mountains. So it's almost completely uninhabited. Everyone lives like on the shores.
Yeah, no, mountain living's rough.
Yeah. But it's connected to the little smaller tail portion. And it's connected by an isthmus. I looked this up 100 times.
Isthmus.
There we go.
It's an S and a TH next to each other, which is a bitch, but...
And that's like a little narrow strip of land that connects 2 bodies of land across the ocean.
You know what that makes me think of is that Simpsons joke, like, Monster Island? They can't really be sending us to a place called Monster Island. Oh, don't worry, that name's a misnomer. It's a peninsula.
So, on the bottom island, that's where Chopo is, on the little tail part. And that little tail part is equally almost completely uninhabited because most of it is only accessible by boat or foot. Where Chopo is, it's called the end of the road because it's the end of the road. There's one-way lane getting there. I would call it like a footpath, but they call it a lane.
People drive on all kinds of things and call it roads.
That's true, right? That's true. The population, however, is around 1,500.
Doable with those little roads.
Right. There's not like any hotels. They offered / tried to build some for the Olympics, and they're like, nope. But it's said that the locals there have a really good vibe, surfer friendly. Surfing involves a lot of etiquette though, which we'll talk about in a minute. And they've been seeing surfers there at least on an annual basis. I'm sure probably far more than this. But since the late 90s, they had the annual Billabong Pro Teahopo Surf Competition started being held there. Had a couple different names at first. And now it's one of the stops on the World Championship Tour surfing circuit. So all of this is really nice, but like, why Chopo? It's about 9,800 miles away from Paris. It's about 2,766 miles from Honolulu. Or, I'm sorry, it's about 4,000 plus-ish miles between LA and Sydney.
So really, you could have picked any spot, but was it the French part of French Polynesia? Was that why they picked it? Or
I am so glad you asked. Before I answer that, let me tell you, because you mentioned the accommodations, all of the athletes are staying on a yacht that is moored nearby. Another first
it's
for the
bougie,
Olympics.
but it's also handy. I can
Right.
really see why that.
It's handy. It's better.
Tow a hotel there. I can see.
Yeah,
that.
it's better to not have everybody and their uncle trampling.
Impacting the island.
Yeah.
I think that's the only time I've ever been in favor of yachts.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm only in favor of them if I have one.
If I were to have a boat, which I don't think would actually count as a yacht, it would be like the one from Captain Ron. If you've never seen that movie, please treat yourself. I want the boat from Captain Ron.
I would probably have like a pontoon boat.
Yeah, that handy, yeah.
Yeah, that's what everyone had in Alabama. Okay, so I'm so glad you asked why there. It's the waves. Teahopo, like a rough legend-based translation, is a wall of skulls. So surfers have referred to Chopo as the heaviest wave in the world, which, think about the weight of water. Like 1 gallon of water is over 8 pounds. So think about that and then like keep multiplying it and keep multiplying it and keep multiplying it. It has massive volume because it's so big, and it also has a lot of powerful energy behind it. So when it breaks, it creates a thick lip. I am going to explain
Which I'm going to need explained.
Yeah. Okay, so a break in the wave is when the top of the wave, like the crest, goes forward. Like the instant it starts to curl forward, it's called collapsing onto itself. That's the break.
Okay.
I wish you guys could see me waving my hands around.
Point break. That's why it's called that. Okay.
Yes. So the lip of the wave is the top point in a breaking wave where the water starts folding over on itself. The lip is the place where like a lot of your aerial maneuvers take place.
Okay.
There's a lot of sayings and terminology in surfing, which took me like 10 years to figure out. Since I don't surf, spoiler alert, I've never surfed.
Yeah, no, you can enjoy something you might do.
Yeah, my mom would only let us boogie board. It's fine. So, that's a dry reef at Chopo, and its shape has a lot to do with how huge the waves can get. The reef's sudden depth change creates a bowl effect, which basically like focuses and then magnifies all of the energy back into this like concentrated, powerful breaking point.
So the reef point, is that where, are you getting on the wave before the reef and riding it in past, or are you getting on the wave once it has broken past the reef?
You are trying to get on the wave in surfing at the exact point it breaks.
Okay. I don't understand.
No, I've
all
got
that. It's very
pictures for you.
fascinating.
Well, that's why I brought this, because I wanted everybody to know. Just to sum it up, look at this beautiful little map here. I'll put a link to this on the website. Because of their location, they get a lot of residual storm waves. Mm-hmm. But as they're traveling through the ocean with nothing to stop them, they're just getting bigger and bigger, gathering more energy, more volume.
That's an insane amount of momentum before it's actually hitting a stop point.
And then it hits that stop point, which pulls this water in. This water starts to go up and curl around it. And so that's what the reef does. It creates that circular bowl-shaped wave that you saw coming in on itself.
You can absolutely see why they picked it. That's ideal for a competition.
It is. It's one of the great big surfer spots. That circular bowl makes it look like the waves are breaking below sea level.
Because it's sucking it down that far.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that wild?
Uh-huh.
Your average everyday wave in Chopo is usually like 6.5 to 10 feet. I mean, that's not small. The waves, though, can get as high as 23 feet. Just think about, that's like 3 stories high.
It doesn't matter that you're falling on water. At that point, your momentum is enough that you're falling on concrete.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Uh-huh. With the reef being there, that does make your injuries, like, more dangerous than usual.
Oh, yeah.
There's some different dangers associated with surfing already to begin with. On the first day, sorry, again, name pronunciation, Joanne Defray, who's representing France, hit her head on the reef and had to get 4 stitches. Yeah, some people choose to wear helmets when they're surfing there, and I can see why.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, apparently, people don't understand surfing, and that's why they don't watch it even in the Olympics. Excuse me. What?
To be fair, I didn't. You see it every once in a while and go, ooh. But it feels like one of those things that it's more meaningful for the participants than I think anybody else. Even if they have a huge fan base and a huge love, huge culture behind it, I think it means the most to the people that are riding those waves.
I'm sure.
That's probably true with all sports, though, to be honest. Yeah, no, you know what? That's not actually a radical statement.
Because people don't watch Olympic surfing because they don't get it, I was like, I'm obviously going to give you guys a very generic version of it. And apparently a whole bunch of reporters were vying to be the on-the-ground reporter in Chopo.
Yes.
Guess who got it? Actual surfer Colin Jost.
No kidding!
Yes.
Oh, good for him.
Right, so yeah, he actually surfs. And he also said he got it because he is a very serious sports reporter. I mean, obviously. Yeah, so in his book, he apparently has, like, a story about he was surfing and got, like, trapped against some rocks, and Jimmy Buffett saved him. So, they thought that Colin Jost would definitely, like, help spread the joy of surfing to the masses. To me, just watching the action on the water is so relaxing. I find watching tennis and golf, my gosh, golf.
Not scintillating.
Right, so I can see how people might feel that way. But, like, to me, the ocean, even when it's deadly, is, like, the best ever. And we have the mountains here, and they're lovely, too. I actually had this blasted therapist who would be like, okay, let's do guided meditation. And then she'd be like, do you want ocean or mountains? And every time I would say ocean. And every time she'd be like, okay, close your eyes now. You're walking in the mountains.
Just say, you don't give me a choice if you're not going to listen.
Right. Right, yeah. So, I'm going to give you a little rundown on how it's scored. Okay. The surfing window lasts for 9 days. The first day was Saturday, July 27th, so the day after the opening ceremonies. And then it will close by Sunday, August 4th, which is a week before the Olympics ends. But they need 4 good days for surfing. But they have a 9-day window because you can't predict the weather.
Yeah, your equipment is actually real weather-based in that sport.
Yeah. As Outcast said, you can plan a pretty picnic, but you cannot predict the weather. So, rounds of surfing, there's 6 rounds. Round 1 happens Saturday, and that is 3 surfers competing against each other in over 8 heats. So, round 1, you're going to get 8 heats of 3 surfers each. The winner of each heat will go right on to round 3. The 2 who don't win in round 1 are going to go to round 2, and they will go to round 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they're doing like a staggered kind of heat. Okay.
At that point, the next 3 rounds are your quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the finals. And in each round, if you lose, you're eliminated. That's just it. The duration of the heat is going to be determined usually the day of, dependent, again, on your weather conditions. They can be as short as 15 minutes, as long as 45. For the Olympics in the first round, since they had 3 each, they're scheduled to go between 20 and 35 minutes, which they did. That already happened. And then each surfer can ride as many waves as possible during the heat time, but they have to alternate who has right-of-way. So the right-of-way tends to be the person closest to where it breaks.
And it's their turn to go now.
Yes.
Okay. And because there is a line situation.
There is, and not just in Olympic surfing. Like, you have to know etiquette to even, like, think about beginning to surf. It's a big deal.
I've definitely heard stories. Like,
you can't
learn the polite
steal
ways.
someone's wave. You can't drop in on someone else's wave. Like, not only can you hurt them, it's just, like, a rude thing to do. Yeah. So, according to the internet, the surfer with priority has the unconditional right-of-way to catch any wave they choose. The other surfers in the heat can paddle for and catch the same wave, but only if they don't obstruct or hinder the scoring potential of the surfer with priority.
Okay.
So following that, the World Surf League says for their competitions, a surfer loses priority once they catch a wave and or paddle for a wave but miss the wave. If 2 or more surfers catch a wave, the first surfer to make it to the takeoff zone gets priority. A surfer who hinders the scoring potential of the surfer with priority over them is given an interference penalty.
Okay. And how many penalties would it take to knock you out of the competition?
Not that many.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different surfing competitions. Mm-hmm. So for Olympic ones, I don't know, but like the max score is 20. Okay. So depending on what the penalty is, maybe not much.
Yeah, no, especially if it's ticking you down by more than a point.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, got all that? I know, it's like so much.
I got you. So, I'm with you.
Okay. So, those boats in that picture you saw, one option that the Surfing Association put out was they were like, why don't we put the judges in the boats on the Olympics because
I just assumed.
Some issues. No, those aren't the judges.
Oh, really?
Those are like media, although with surfing, it's a little different in the Olympics because a lot of people are sponsored and like whoever sponsors them might have photographers, but this is the Olympics, so different rules apply. Mm. But you've got your coaches out there in the boats, you've got your rescue teams, mm-hmm. You've got medics, you've got everything. Yeah. So each wave a surfer catches during a heat is scored by 5 judges. They use a scale of 0.1 to 10.
Okay. All right.
So the highest and lowest scores are discarded, and then the average of the 3 remaining, that's your score. And your best 2 waves are combined for the total score of the heat. Okay. So catch as many as you can, you're going to be scored on 2. That means you can get up to 20 points per heat right now. And the points do not carry over. Okay. Like in racing, I know you have to collect points. According to the NBC Olympics page, the judges evaluate each wave using a variety of criteria. Wow, that's helpful. They include, again, not this helpful, degree of difficulty, innovative maneuvers, combinations of maneuvers, a variety of maneuvers, speed, power, and flow, although certain elements could be emphasized more than others based on the weather.
It's just a factor the whole time.
Right. So, during round 1, which was Saturday, July 27th, John Florence won his heat with a total combined score of 17.33. Unsurprising, John is currently number 1 in the world surfing rankings. Yeah, I'm a big fan. In round 3, he went up again another big deal surfer. Obviously, they're in the Olympics. Of course they're a big deal. Jack Robinson, who's ranked 3rd in the World Surfing League rankings. And John lost. Boo, I know, I'm so sad. And that's it. You don't get one more try. No. You're done.
It's the Olympics. You're already at the pinnacle of the sport.
Right. So, no Olympic medal for him yet. But, I think he'll be okay. It's disappointing. He does have 2 world champion wins, 5 Triple Crown wins, quite a few other wins. He's amazing. He was kind of already at the top of his game when Andy Irons reached the top of his game and started competing against him. They both chose very different lifestyles. Kelly Slater, I don't think he's retired from surfing, but I don't really see him in any competitions. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Andy Irons is not with us anymore. Which breaks my heart. This is a total side note, and it's so silly because it's not like it was me especially. I'm sure she does it for everyone. But I always try to buy a t-shirt from the Andy Irons Foundation for their annual Andy Irons Day in Hawaii. And my t-shirt comes with a handwritten note from his widowed wife. And I don't know, I just love it. And their kid, unfortunately, he died right before his kid was born. He never got to meet him. Oh. Their kid he's Andy's clone.
Oh, man. It's like the Irwin DNA.
Yes.
Strong.
Yes. So that was a side note. But John is really, really good. However, all that aside, there was, unfortunately, some environmental issues. With Chopo being the location.
Well, yeah, when you have that many people descending on what was previously a much less populated space.
Right. Let me show you this picture from 2018 of the Judge Tower at Chopo. This is the old Judge's Tower at Chopo.
Okay.
Will you describe it for our audience, please?
It looks a little bit like... And forgive the comparison, a little bit like an oil rig in terms of construction. Mm-hmm. It's like a raised platform. I can see that not being great visibility, though. I mean, I imagine it's better from the perspective of the tower than the perspective of this picture, but it's stationary, so that's rough.
Well, the tower is above the reef.
Okay.
So it is good viewing. But that tower had been at Chopo for about 20 years. It's wooden. And the Olympic Committee was like, nah. Yeah. They're all, you know what? We're going to build this new one. It's going to be 3 stories, 40 people, aluminum. It's going to have toilets and air conditioning. Girl, like, I get why that's nice.
Yeah, but in the middle of a lagoon, like, what are the
attached to a growing reef?
Yeah,
that's a lie.
Come on.
Right. So that it did not go over well. Nice. You know, anchoring on a reef or any destruction to a reef, if it can recover, it can take years. Years and years and years. And that reef is what makes the surfing there special.
Yeah, don't screw with
You
that.
can't screw up the reef to judge the event that is only made so special because of the reef. So the International Surfing Association was like, we're not supporting this new tower, and here's some alternatives. And they were the ones who said, what if we put them on the boat? What if we do this? What if we do that? And the Olympic Committee's like, nah. They didn't end up doing their original plan, but they wouldn't do another wooden one. They said it would just like take way too long. And I don't know anything about building them, so maybe that's true.
I mean, I think if you have time to build the aluminum one, you probably have time to build the wooden one.
I think so too, but by the time this happened, it was like December or January. Mm-hmm. So they needed to do it. So they came up with a new one, more moderate, back out on the reef. They were like, we're going to be super careful. And wouldn't you know, a construction barge bumped into the reef.
Oh, if only someone had seen it coming.
Right? Who would have guessed? Not me. So, to wrap all of this up, besides loving your Mother Earth, I'm going to tell you a quick bit about the guy who's called the father of modern surfing. So, Duke Kanahamukuku, I'm butchering names left and right. I bet my sister could say it. She learned what the Hawaii state fish was when we lived there, and I believe it was the Huma Huma Nuku Nuku Aku A'a. I think she could spell it. Right off. Yeah, now. So he's a native Hawaiian. He's born in Hawaii. He was actually born to like a minor noble family about 3-ish years before the Hawaiian kingdom was overthrown by our government. Yeah. But he became a U.S. citizen, and he also was a 5-time Olympic medalist in swimming.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And he did a lot of cool things in his life. One of the many things he's known for is his surfing. When he started his surfing career, he really liked to use like a traditional surfboard, but as he grew in his career, he would start using the really long surfboards. So like there's a statue of him in Waikiki, and he's like standing by a surfboard, and the surfboard's really, really, really big.
The tall boards were like much more prevalent, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and those are not what's being used in the Olympics right now.
Mm-hmm.
He always said it was his dream that one day the Olympics would recognize surfing as a sport. Isn't that cool?
That's really awesome.
Yeah, he would, get out there on the surfboard. He'd have these big crowds of people watching him. I remember learning about him in 7th grade history, which, you know how your history is, like, focused differently.
It's state-based a lot of times in middle school.
Especially middle school.
Oh, yeah.
So mine was Hawaiian monarchy. I mean, only because I didn't know anything about the Hawaiian monarchy till I went there. And you can, like, tour parts of the palace, the old palace. So very cool. Yeah. You need to go to Hawaii. Get over the fear of large bodies of water.
Oh, yeah, I've actually been to Hawaii and enjoyed the hell out of it.
Wait, you have? When?
I was 7, and my mom, I don't remember why it came up, but she came up and asked me if I'd rather go trick-or-treating or go to Hawaii.
What?
And I chose the sensible choice. We had a friend that had a condo there, I think was part of it that they were letting us use. I remember going to the beach every day, and I remember being mildly freaked out by our gecko roommate.
No, geckos are good in Hawaii. They eat the cockroaches.
They're wonderful until you think they're an interesting looking stick and you go to pick it up and neither one of you is happy about it. That's a little scary for a 7-year-old, but I had a good time.
Wow, that's fun. I think that was probably around my kid's age, around the time she went, maybe a little bit younger. My dad took us to the back to watch the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not there anymore, so I'm glad we went.
The only time the fear of water came up was that snorkeling wasn't all that fun for me.
Oh, I love snorkeling.
I was a beach gal.
So I sunburn so easily that I really have a hard time on the beach, but like I will make all kinds of concessions to make it happen. I order my bathing suit off of like a modesty website, or maybe like, I don't know. It goes almost to my ankles, so not that modest. The sleeves come past my elbows and it comes all the way up to my neck.
That's just more wetsuit style.
It is, and it's so much better for me because the material, is SPF. I live for sunscreen. So I love snorkeling though. The first time I went snorkeling was in Waimea Bay, I think, in Hawaii. And number one, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many eels in the coral. And then number two, like I would be looking at my kid underwater, and like the number of very large fish that constantly swim past you is shocking.
Yeah, and I feel like I probably scared off anything interesting the one time that I tried, because I was having a very hard time with the water over my head.
How old were you?
7.
Oh, yeah.
Kiddo
did not like it either. She refused.
Yeah.
She had my dad just pulling her around on her inner tube the whole time.
Yeah, right. I was so happy letting a wave knock me over and then trying to build something in the time that it took the wave to come back. That was my entertainment. You could have left me there doing that all day.
I love the ocean. I love the beach, despite the sunburning. If I can sit on a balcony and stare at the beach throughout the heat of the day, and then be out on the beach in the morning and the evenings, and then sit on the balcony all night long and stare at the beach, I'm in heaven.
See, this is why aquariums are such a wonderful compromise middle ground for me, because I adore them. They are always indoor, air-conditioned. It feels like you are at the bottom of the ocean, but you have none of the fear. Aquariums are my jam.
Did you know you can get married at our aquarium?
Oh my gosh, can you?
Yeah,
That's
a lady
amazing.
I worked with, she went to pursue a different, cooler career of being a librarian. She got married at the aquarium.
That is actually very awesome.
Oh, yeah. Okay, guys, with that, don't forget to like and subscribe. Maybe you could share this so we can get a few more subscribers. That would be cool.
We are so happy that you're out there listening.
We are. And tell us how I did on the names and leave us some feedback. Bye-bye.